Okay, so I'm going to unbox this thing and I'm going to talk about some stuff while I'm doing it. For starters, if you'll notice, it is still 100% in the plastic. God love my friend Bruce, who I browbeat into ordering this. And to be clear, I didn't have to twist his arm that hard. Bruce puts up with a lot of my stupid stuff, man. Thank you, Bruce. Anyway, Bruce had some free points from Olight, and I started talking about this because I was super curious about the Warrior X4. And I said, Bruce, you know, do you have any interest in picking this up? He's like, well, I've got the other Warriors, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, but I see some really cool things on this one. Like when I'm looking at it, you know, claim 2600 max lumen, 630 meters throw. For the record, any issues that I ever had with Olight was never about their outputs. Their outputs have always been either spot on or even slightly underrated. I digress. Their boxing also, super nice, like little magnets that hold the box shut. Like their unboxing experience is super cool. Like it even tells you, hey, you've got to take out the little insulating film, fully charge it before you use it. One interesting thing about this that caught my eye, there are a few, but one, this is USB-C rechargeable. Previous Olights, I'll use that magnetic charger. You may have strong feelings on that for the positive or the negative. I've never been the biggest fan of the magnetic charger, but that said, if you are in the magnetic charging camp, Olight still got you. This light is actually rechargeable via their magnetic charger or USB-C. So either way, like Olight got you. I think that they really sort of bridged the gap with this one. Anyways, I'm running my mouth. Let's pull it out. Let's see what we got. So the flashlight itself, and it comes with a holster that you may or may not love. I'll probably play with it a little bit. How to get it in the holster, how to remove it, just in case you can't figure it out. Like I get it, I get it. So we've got a, ooh, sticks in pretty good actually. Yeah, so while it's not impossible to lose this thing out of the holster itself, not bad. Now this is a pretty heavy mamma jamma. We have the little ring here, which I like quite a bit actually. This is one of the features that I've always liked with the Warrior lights. More on some of the other features in a second, but if you're gonna charge it, you're gonna use it, the very first thing you gotta do is pull this thing out. Otherwise, you're gonna get nowhere. I'm gonna charge this thing via USB-C, and I'm gonna have to use this port right here. Little ring to keep it covered. And there's a nice little detent that you can hear. And then there's a little indicator light about the charging. I'm gonna plug this in while it's charging. Let me talk a little bit about Olight. I'm going to run my mouth. I'm going to say some things that may be either mean or not mean, depending on your view of Olight. Let's see, do I have another USB-C cord running around? Well, you know what, before I go looking for one of my own cords, probably if I were a betting individual, and occasionally I am, we would have the manual safety warnings, you know, don't put the light in your mouth, ha ha ha. If you know the joke, you know the joke. If you know, you know. And it does obviously come with a cord as well, a charging cord. I'll probably leave that in there for Bruce in the nice, neat little packaging. We'll talk about modes and everything after I get all this stuff kind of settled. Can I get everything back in there? Might be one of those things where, there we go. Packing and unpacking might be substantively difficult. Like going on vacation when you get a bunch of stuff in your luggage and you can't get it back. I'll just leave that stuff. I don't really need to read the safety precautions. So back to what I was saying about poor Bruce. I browbeat him into buying this light, and he was nice enough to literally give it to me without even playing with it at all. He's like, hey, good to go. And I was like, well, it might take me a second to get to it. I got a bunch of other videos in the queue. And he was like, dude, I don't even care. Take your time. So, like I said, God love him. Really good dude. I probably don't tell him that to his face, but he occasionally watches my videos. So he'll likely hear this here. But so the deal with Olight, I am pretty late to this video in terms of getting it. I'll just let that charge. Obviously red means it ain't charged. I don't know if you can see that or not. Well, the amount of lighting, yeah, you can see that red light. I'm late to the party on this because I've kind of been not particularly jazzed to get into the Olight world. And that may sound crap of me. Every Olight I've ever played with has like a bunch of cool things, but then they'll have like one or two things that are really not great, like stuff where you're like, I don't like the switching, or I don't like something about how the light behaves. And you know, they have an entertaining reputation. Now look, their non-tactical lighting I think is actually pretty good, and I've certainly had a bunch of their flashlights in the past, so I'm not going to say, hey, I'm completely anti-Olight. But I do want you to understand that probably, I'd say 98, 99% of the reviews that you see on YouTube or other places regarding Olight product is Olight has sent them that product and done some incentivization to have them review it. I have no relationship with Olight. They did not send me this product. Like I said, I got a friend of mine to loan it to me. So I am completely unbiased, and honestly, if you really want to get down to it, I'm probably slightly negatively biased, and maybe even a little more negatively biased against Olight, just because I've had some experiences with Olight that were less than stellar. So that's one of the main reasons why I didn't bother really reviewing a lot of their product for most of the run of my time on YouTube. Look, in my mind, this is not a pocket flashlight. Doesn't mean you can't do it. And I'm sure somebody's going to tell me I carry that in my pocket all day, every day, and I can't believe that you would even say that. I do have, at least one person said that about one of my Nightcore flashlights that I felt was also probably a little too big for pocket carry. Right now on my duty belt, I'm carrying a Nightcore P23i. Let me try and say that again, Nightcore P23i. And that's been my duty jam for probably, it's over a year now. Like right after I made the video on that thing, it really impressed me. I was like, this is really a good freaking light, and I like it. It does all the things I want it to do. I'm not saying this one's going to replace that one, but I'm going to give it a good shot. I'm going to let it do, because it really, in terms of switching, seemed a little more simple. In terms of output, seemed exceptional. And, you know, it doesn't have the stupid glow-in-the-dark ring that a lot of the frickin' previous Olights have. I'm sure, obviously, this thing gets frickin', you know, hot when it is on its highest modes. There's two different modes. We'll get into all that once I get this fully charged, and I'll test the output. I'll show you the modes right after that. But once again, let me just say, if there's any bias about me and Olight, man, it's going to be negative. So I'm going to get some beam shots. I'm going to carry this thing for probably a week or two. I've got some low light work I'm doing this week, indoor, and indoor is kind of more telling when it comes to output. You know, the big question, how bright is too bright? Historically speaking, I have yet to encounter too bright. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Please don't mistake me saying that, but I have yet to encounter too bright, and that includes lights that are 3,000 plus lumens, 55, 60,000 candela. This thing's approaching 100,000 candela. Maybe this checks the too bright box. I don't know. Maybe literally I go, woof, I'm never going to use that inside an apartment trailer or whatever. That could happen. I'm not saying it couldn't. I just haven't encountered it yet. This might be the one that breaks me. I don't know. So I'm going to test it. We'll see what we get. Decent unboxing experience. Like the construction, like I like it. It's a nice looking light. And I'm very pleased with the USB-C. That is a new turn for Olight. And the word on the street is about 3.5 hours to charge this via USB-C. Word on the street is it's about 5 hours to charge it via the magnetic charger. That alone, I think, should probably tell you like kind of where I'm at in terms of what is a better bet. I don't know. Anyway, like I said, some testing. We'll see what happens. Stick around. Okay, so let's talk about the modes on this thing real quick. One thing that I do really appreciate about this is that they're pretty straightforward. There's really only two modes for the switch. There's the partial press, where you get, in the regular mode, a lower amount of light. And then if you press hard, you get turbo. Man, I can feel the heat on that. Low mode, I forget the output. The high mode, 2600 lumens. Guys, this easily made the numbers, by the way. Like when I measured this, this thing exceeded the output ratings in terms of lumens and candela, made over 100,000 candela. So Olight's not lying to you when it comes to output, and that's one thing they've always been good about. But let's just say those two modes, oh, and if you part press, it'll stay on, and then if you part press again, it goes back off. Let's just say you're like, you know what, I want the tactical mode for whatever reason. So turn it on, unscrew it, screw it back down. Now you're in tactical mode. Now in tactical mode, a partial press gets you hot and full press gets you strobe. And that's the only difference. I don't love strobe, but man, maybe you're a strobe kid. You're like, I love the strobe. I'm all about the strobe. And once again, if you decide you don't want the tactical mode, turn it on, unscrew it, screw it back down. So you're not gonna really, I mean, the odds of you accidentally engaging the other mode and then you're back to the regular where you get, you know, a little bit less light and then all the light. Like I said, the odds of you accidentally putting the tactical mode in when you didn't want to or vice versa, probably not there. Those are the modes. Let's check out some beam shots. All right, indoor beam shots for the Olight Warrior X4. Here's the partial press. We're in the regular mode. So this is, if you're just kind of looking around, you don't need a ton of light, usable. Now here's the 2600, there's the high mode. And look guys, I'm indoors, this is a ton of light, like this is crazy light, even on the closed door. It's not blinding me. I could use this indoors. So I don't know that it really hits the how much light is too much light yet, but it's a lot of light, man, holy crap. Let me just turn this thing to the tactical mode. With the tactical mode, if you partial press, you get the bright, and then full press gives you the strobe. You know, whatever. I don't really care about the strobe, but maybe you do. Like I said, the beauty of the Warrior X4 is that it's simple. I like simple, and the regular mode kind of is my jam, where you get a little bit of light and then you get like blasty light. I like this. I really do. I don't hate the switching, man. I really don't. And I thought I might, but it's kind of grown on me. We'll take a look at it outdoors. Oh, before I forget, let's just let's turn this thing on full frickin' bore. Ooh, there we go. And let's see how hot it gets. Like right now, you know, it's 102 and climbing. Ooh, I saw some stuff in there. I'm gonna let it sit. I'm gonna let it cook for a little bit, and let's see what we get in terms of temperature. All right, so warm, not uncomfortable to the touch. It's definitely getting hot. You know, those the kind of ribs really do a good amount of heat dispersion. Same thing. Not that I'm going to hold this up here. It's starting to get a little uncomfortable. Down here, it's okay. Up here, kids, I don't know that I'd hold it up here. Down here's pretty good. You could still hold it. It's not like frying me, but woo, it's definitely putting out some heat. I think I saw one guy who saw up to 130, but I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing 120s. 122.5 is what the gun's calling max. .9 we're seeing. So like I said, down here, I can feel there's heat up here. This is not comfortable, but it's not burning. It is not burning. So it does temperature regulate very nicely. I don't think I would worry about cooking my hand. I definitely don't want a negligent discharge of this thing in a pocket or pouch or a bag. I do not. That would be a bad day. I think if I were transporting it in some venue like that, I would probably unscrew the tail cap where I didn't have positive control of it. Although the tail switch is actually very difficult to engage without using your thumb or a finger purposefully, but it'd still be careful. Yeah, I don't think it's going to get any higher than 122. So that's your temperature regulation range. Uncomfortable, yeah. Burn, not you. So not bad. Not bad. And like I said, to actually turn this on and off, like nothing is going to turn this on. You're going to have to actually push in the tail cap to get something, either with thumb, finger, like some part of your digit. So, yeah, hot, yeah. Burn, no, I don't find it to be uncomfortable. Your mileage may vary, but I think Olight has done a pretty good job of temperature regulating this thing. Obviously, the output's going to come down, but it kept over the claimed output of 2600 lumens for greater than 30 seconds. Like, easily gives you a lot of light for a really long time before it steps down. Every light steps down. I'm not worried about that. But in terms of temperature, don't hate it. Don't hate it. It's not atrocious. All right, we'll do some outdoor beam shots next. All right, outdoors with the Olight Warrior X4. That's the lower mode, and you can still see it on the tree. I say lower mode. It's still plenty of friggin' light. And then if I go to the high mode, then there's your real freaking output. Like, we really get on the fence 20 yards out with the trees. Pretty legit. All right, long range beam shot with the Olight Warrior X4 on the low mode. You can certainly see it on the fence, and you can see all the way out there. If you look really closely, there's like a street sign past that tree. That is pretty good. And this is the lower mode, guys. When I go to the high mode, you know, you're seeing the results of 100,000 candela there. Like, if it is out there, it is visible. You know, they claim, I forget what the distance is, I'll annotate it, but this is literally the brightest in terms of candela light that I have ever tested, used, or played with. And the amount of distance that this thing gives you at this amount of light is crazy. I'm really liking it. This, I might have to get one for myself since this one's a loaner. I really like the throughput, man, or the output. Unreal work. I love this light. Okay, so let me offer some final thoughts about the Olight Warrior X4. Let me give you the bottom line up front, and then I'll get into the pros and cons. But guys, I think that they did a really good job with this light. And if this were a light that I actually owned, it would stay on my duty belt right now. I would keep using it at work. I may very well ask for one for Christmas from my lovely wife or one of my relatives. I like it that much. As it stands right now, thank you so much to Bruce for letting me borrow it, because I've been running this thing for over a month now, guys. I've really kind of overstayed my welcome with hanging on to it. Let's talk about the pros. One, this light has crazy output. It exceeds all of the numbers it claims. That is something that I see so rarely with flashlights that I have to just take a moment, pause, and really give Olight credit for that. In terms of output, this light is a big winner. In terms of lumens, easily over 2600. Candela, 100,000 candela. Guys, this light is a thrower. It is a beam pusher. Meters and meters of light, all the light. So good on them for this. Two, the construction is solid. I like it. Like I said before, it's a little big for a pocket light, but in terms of on your belt or something like that, good to go. Now, if you're somebody that doesn't mind something that's almost 9 ounces in your pocket, then maybe this is a pocket light for you. For me, this isn't really going to be an EDC light. For me, it's definitely a work size light, but I like it in that regard. Durable aluminum construction. This looks like it can take a lot of abuse. Obviously, I didn't go kicking it down the street or anything, but any sort of casual neglect or abuse that I think you heap on this light, it's going to shrug off very easily. USB-C charging. Guys, I know that most lights out there, the industry standard is USB-C. Olight is late to the party on that, but they're finally there. Thank you, Olight, for making a light that I can charge with any of the cables running around my house. It does not require proprietary charging. Now, as a side note, if you're somebody who is invested in the Olight world and you've got a bunch of those little magnetic chargers, you can still use that with this light to your heart's content. So don't fret if you're one of the, I don't want to say old school, vestigial, whatever. If you're a part of that Olight ecosystem and you like it, you're comfortable with it, Olight still is going to take care of you. I like the ring on this so that you can hold the light in your hand like so and actuate with your thumb. I like the simple modes, having just 2 modes and 2 switch positions. So in the regular, you get low and then you get high. That's good to go. And in the tactical mode, low, which is really high, and then strobe. So high or high strobe. But either way, you don't have to go pushing a bunch of buttons or do a bunch of funky switch combinations to get to the light you want. Either this much light or this much light, the end. That is really an excellent feature, and I like simple. Simple is good for me. I have a simple brain. Things that get overcomplicated, not a fan of. So those are the pros. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't call out Olight on a couple of things. And one thing I find is that the switching feels kind of laggy to me. Like if I let go, it takes just a second for the light to go away. So I don't know if that is going to bother you in practice, using it at work and using it for training and demos. I didn't find it to be atrocious, but I did note it. Like it is something that I saw and I felt when I was running the light. And sometimes getting it to turn on and off, like not the momentary, but the permanent switching is a little bit goofy, but I usually use them in momentary most of the time anyway, so that's not a big deal. So everything else, I love the switching. I can't give high marks, I'll give medium marks. They have come a long way in terms of their switching, because the previous set of switching on their previous Warriors and some of their other lights, I really didn't like. This one is certainly acceptable to me. And like I said, it's not such a detractor that I wouldn't carry the light, because like I said, if this was my light, it would probably stay on my belt. So overall, guys, I really like this light. If you were wanting one and it's in your price range, then I'd tell you to get it. Olight sometimes has monster sales around some of the holidays and obviously when things first come out. As it stands right now, this light is right around 130 bucks with no discounts, coupons, anything like that. And at that price point, I still think it's worth it. Compare it to some of the onshore offerings that put out close to this level of candela. Those are all like $200-300 bucks. This is not that expensive. Now, obviously, this is not your bargain basement $40 flashlight, and I've reviewed some of those that actually had really acceptable output and switching for their price point, but that's not this light. This light has better output, better durability, better construction, better switching, and so for those reasons, it's going to cost more money. And I don't fault Olight for that. I can't give them any grief for that. In general, guys, if Olight had been making lights like this from the beginning and hadn't done some of that other goofy stuff, I probably never would have had the objections that I have had previously to Olight. So I'll end this here. I don't want to talk about it any further. I like the light, guys. I really do. If you like, obviously, flashlight reviews, because I do a lot of them, but also some other gear, sometimes some gun stuff, sometimes some fitness stuff. If any of those things are interest to you, subscribing to my channel gets a lot of it, and obviously the notification bell will get you a notification whenever I upload videos. I try to do at least one a week. Sometimes I do more depending on what items have been sent to me or items that interest me that I want to take a look at. Like I said, I threatened to end this here like 3 times, so I'm really going to do it. Take care, guys. Stay safe. I'll talk to you soon.
Get 'em, Jay.